Hi, this is Eddie with Tier Level, and today we're going to be talking about a couple of things in the sales process that I think are probably the most important because every salesperson should expect it, and that's going to be the art of the rebuttal and your ability to be able to handle rejection. So let's jump right into the meat of it. So when you go into your presentation as a tried and true sales professional, you should be expecting to be told no. Why should you be expecting to be told no? Well, here's the reason. You're a stranger and you're going in trying to create a relationship and earn trust in a pretty immediate situation and be able to ask for the business. Well, trust doesn't happen that quickly. If you can establish trust within the first few seconds, then you're a much better salesperson than I am, and I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that are. But I think that you should always have a good list of like the top 10 or top 15 objections that you hear all the time that you should be able to role play, constantly look at them, and they should just be able to roll off your tongue in a very conversational manner and rebuttal to the point to where it makes sense for the customer and be able to move on. So I think that no shouldn't necessarily mean no in a sales presentation, because there's several things that could influence no. You haven't effectively educated them, you have not established a need, you haven't earned their trust, and sometimes it really all comes down to the fact that you really didn't ask for the business. So whenever you're going to get your rebuttals, you need to be prepared for them. But let's talk about not necessarily how to handle the objection, but how you're going to deal with rejection. Because this is really important, because if you do not handle rejection well, and maybe you did not close the deal on that call and you're setting it up for future business and future follow-up, your inability to be able to handle rejection effectively could affect the next call that you go to and the call thereafter, and so on and so forth. So one of the first things that I always tell people to do is, if you go into a closing meeting and you've got high expectations that it's going to turn out very, very well, and it does not, one of the first things that you should do is you should walk immediately out and call whoever your developing manager is or your superior and ask them if they've got a few minutes to be able to role play the scenario back. Now, why is this important? It's important because when you role play the scenario back, you've got somebody that, no pun intended, is outside of the fire that's going to be able to listen objectively and be able to find some of the things that maybe you missed, that maybe you asked for the business too soon, maybe your presentation did not make sense, it wasn't an apples to apples presentation. Maybe that you weren't speaking to somebody that was just getting it. You just didn't educate them enough to be able to make an informed decision. So whenever you walk out, immediately role play that scenario, and then open your mind up and be willing to take objective criticism, so that you can take and listen effectively and say, okay, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should have tried these things. So let's look at 10 quick ways that you can deal with rejection. Now, the first thing that you do is you deal with rejection every single day. And the reason that you do is because you do it every day. Maybe it's somebody that you unfriended on Facebook. Maybe it's a photo you didn't like on Instagram. Maybe you ignored a text message. Maybe you don't answer a call. On average, you give rejection about 30 to 100 times a day. So you're already doing it. The second thing is that there are two types of rejection. There's personal, which is friends and family, things like that. Maybe they come to you and say, you've done great on this new keto diet, you've lost 15 pounds, and you go see your grandmother and she tells you, wow, you really look like you've gained some weight. Well, that hurts. It's personal. It becomes a painful situation, and typically it can take the average person a good 3 to 5 days to get over that type of rejection. Then there's business rejection. That's not personal. Again, you're a stranger. So most of the salespeople, or your top 1% of salespeople, it's over, done with, gone. They understand it's not a personal situation. They understand it's just business and a part of business, and they're able to move forward. So be able to separate and differentiate the two. When you're in a sales presentation and you get rejection, it's not personal. So number 3 is the lifespan of your feelings. So nobody likes rejection. The difference between high achievers and moderate to substandard achievers, again, is what I talked about, is that it's over, done with, and gone. So your ability to be able to move past that rejection and go on to the next part of your day. Number 4 is anticipation. Let's just break it down. There's 4 reasons why people buy. Status. So look, say for example, they own a Rolex, they own a Mercedes, they own, things that are status symbols. That's why people would buy. B, peace of mind. C, security. And D, need. So you have to make sure that you can create some of those 4 or all of those 4 in your sales presentation. Now, what's the 4 reasons that people don't buy? A is that there is fear. So B, indecision. C, they're procrastinators. And D, they never ask for the business. So take a look at those things when you're identifying and evaluating your sales process and why somebody says no. Was it because of fear? Was it because of indecision? You just didn't give them enough information to be able to make an informed decision. Was it procrastination? You know what? I'll tell you what, get back with me later. We'll see if we want it then. And D, never asked for the business. They're the art of the close. You just didn't ask for it. So what's number 5? You can test and change your approach. You can push the envelope. When something works, you're going to want to share it. You're going to want to teach it. But when something doesn't work, again, what's one of the tools that we have? You can call your superior. You can role play those things. You can go back and diagnose and break down every single thing that you did. Number 6, follow-up king. So I heard this said, and I thought this was absolutely brilliant, and I've started using this in my sales approach. So you get somebody that you can tell they're pretty indifferent, and they're just not really dialed into what it is that you're saying. And you just look at them and just ask them a question. Say, how would you like to be 5 years younger? Of course, they get completely taken off guard, and they're like, what? And be like, how would you like to be 5 years younger? Okay, sure, I'll bite. I'd love to be 5 years younger. Well, here's the deal. I'm not going away. I believe that the services that I'm providing you are the best for your business. So somewhere in the next 5 years, you and I are going to do business together. So if you'd like to be 5 years younger, let's go ahead and pull the trigger and do business now. Of course, they'll laugh, they'll kind of maybe give you a perplexed look, but either way, you've taken a wall down and can help you with the rejection. So we talked about number 7, role-playing your approach with your mentors or your peers. Make sure that you're doing that, going back over the things that you said so that you can improve for the next time it happens. Number 8, master your frequently asked questions. So if you've got questions that are asked all the time, keep documentation of those so that they can again roll off your tongue like honey. And trust. So make sure, because what it's going to do is that if you can overcome your frequently asked questions and your top 10 objections conversationally and like they didn't faze you, it allows you to take that step towards trust. Number 9 is you're going to do an immediate positive distraction. Okay, what in the world does that mean? So an immediate positive distraction, you're in a negative situation. They've immediately taken and maligned your services and said that it's something that they're not necessarily going to want or that they don't need. Find something positive to be able to redirect it back to. And it could be something as simple as, with the organization that I worked with, we had an emergency ready profile that we provided at no cost. It taught people how to minimize loss and have all the documentation in the palm of their hand that could help minimize an emergency situation. Ask them the question, do you feel it would be of value to you if we could show you how to shut a fire suppression system or a sprinkler system off in 5 minutes rather than waiting 45 minutes for your maintenance guy to get here and have 20,000 gallons of water in your facility? Would that be of value to you? Well, of course it would. Well, now you've created a positive distraction, which is going to allow you to re-enter the conversation and start building that trust process again. And lastly, you have to make it past fight or flight. Let's face it, when you go into a meeting, their walls are up. So they're either going to fight you on the sales process or they're going to try to get out of it by saying that they have another meeting, they don't have time to be able to talk about it today, all kinds of things that they're going to do. They're going to try to get out, which is the flight portion of it. If you can get past fight or flight, you go from stranger to trusted person in their life. So you're making them feel comfortable. One of the things that you can do is make sure that you pre-call plan before you go in there so that you know as much about their business as you possibly can to incite conversation about their business. They should be talking more than you. So these are the top 10 ways to be able to deal with rejection. We hope you find that's beneficial. If you do have any questions, please email me at eddie@tierlevel.com, and thanks for watching.